As we get very close now, everybody, to what's happening with Zukaz and what you're all waiting and eagerly there to hear about, the Zucoins. So I'll just give a little bit of a rundown and then I'll introduce you to the team, the key players from this end in Australia. Firstly, you'll be aware that Wayne's probably and Parrish describing to you guys what Zukaz is about, and Matthew, my son, is the project manager. He'll give you an update on Zukaz. And on my left here, so Matthew's on my right. Say hello, Matty.
Hey guys.
And on my left is Robert, and Robert will give you an update on why and where we're at with the Zucoins, what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. And everybody's keen to get their coins. I will say just before we start, it's very important that everybody in the room and those that are unable to attend, that you tell everybody to make sure that we get all of your phone details. It's very important. And the reason is that when we issue the coins, it actually gets issued, as Robert will tell you, through the connection through the phone number rather than the email. And that's very important. If we don't have your phone numbers, we won't be able to distribute the coins, and that's all for security reasons, identification reasons, etc. So tell your friends that have got coins that may not be here tonight that we need to get that information directly through to our support at Zucoins.com, and I'll introduce you to. Further on my left is Peter Allen.
Hi, everyone.
Peter is head of sales for Zukaz globally and part of the Zucoin support team. And hiding around this side, he's going to say hello, is Dendy, and Dendy is on the Zukaz side. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to make sure that you understand the connection between Zukaz on the one hand and Zucoins on the other, before we get the team to talk about it. Now, on the Zukaz side, you'll be aware that we are trying to change the way the world and merchants and consumers are looking at connecting with each other and advertising. Now, it's very important that as a new company, as a new technology, that we all understand how that works. Now, you may recall in the last updates I've had in podcast and everything else, it's all about augmented reality, and it's all about taking what we all saw in the past of Pokemon Go and allowing merchants for the first time ever to create real value vouchers and drop those anywhere in the world that people can go hunting and collecting to redeem or trade. And just so you know, it's changing the way we think about the way we look at the internet and read and look at advertising through Google or Facebook. It's completely different, and it's so exciting because it doesn't cost anybody any money as a merchant to drop these vouchers. Now, I haven't been to Nassau in many years, but as the boys will tell you, I love the Caribbean, love Bahamas, and if you think about your tourist industry and you think about your local industry, this gives an opportunity for all businesses, whether you're large or small, to drop value vouchers anywhere you like, to either local people or to the tourists before they even leave the shores of Miami or Houston or America. And by that I mean, it could be as simple as a $20 or a $10 or $5 cash voucher that's dropped for a meal at your local restaurant, and people go hunting for those vouchers, and they appear as a three-dimensional form that you would see as a normal thing in day-to-day life. And the hunters can go and collect these vouchers and either redeem them back to the merchant to get the value of the goods, or alternatively, they can trade the voucher amongst each other. And that's what we're finding is exciting in our rollout, which Matthew will talk about how that's worked in Albury in Australia over the last many weeks of testing and what's happened. And we'll show you some numbers of excitement. So why do I talk about Zukaz in that regard? And the reason is that the more money we make in Zukaz from the merchants and the trading, you've got to understand that what Robert will talk about is that 20% of that across the board globally is paid through a contract, through a smart contract, which is the technology is unique to us in the world. And I can guarantee you that as early adopters that you're sitting in this room, you are at the forefront of some incredible technology with the Zucoin. And that revenue flows into your coins. And what that means, you have a wallet for the coins, which is secure, and you have the control and power over those coins, but at the same time, you'll wake up in the morning and you'll see that you have an account with Zukaz that's accumulating money from the system of Zukaz, whether you're involved or not. And that's on a truly global scale. It's very powerful. So whether we're making money in Southeast Asia, in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, USA, or London, or the Caribbean, all that money gets accumulated and 20% is paid at a point in time to the coin owners. It's all divvied up. There's 100 million coins in total. That can't be increased any more than that. And that's the point of difference with Bitcoin. So if you understand the business of Zukaz, you'll then appreciate why we're so different, that there's real value happening into the Zucoins. And that's a huge difference that tells you that even though Bitcoin is trading just over 10,000 US dollars, we see ourselves as far superior with the technology and far more advantageous in what you'll see the value, real value. So coming back to the Zucoin now, we have had delays. We've had information going back and forward that I talk about with UL, and UL, as I said in the past, is one of the biggest, oldest companies in the world to validate and secure the nature or create an enterprise validation of the software and technology. And we've been pushing hard on that because I know that everybody wants to have their coins yesterday, but the reality is that UL's validation gives us a global credibility on the best coin and the only coin in the world with that validation. And I can make that statement very clear. So why is that important? That's very important because it's not just about giving you the security that you have a real, legitimate, tradable coin that you can trade amongst yourselves. You can trade within the Zukaz app, which Robert will talk about how that technology will work. But more importantly, it gives comfort to the merchants around the world that this is an acceptable crypto without any fraud or hacking risks that they can use. And as time goes on, you'll find in the Caribbean and you'll find around the world, and what we're experiencing in Australia, that people will be able to accept Zucoins for goods and services and even houses and property. And that increases the value of the Zucoin because it's not just, a speculation in Bitcoin. The merchants can actually use it to buy and receive, cups of coffee, or as I said, it could be motor vehicles or whatever you can imagine. So that technology and waiting on UL is crucial. And I can report, Robert has been very, very busy back and forward with the UL company, which the head office of the division that's auditing his technologies based in France. And as of last night, I did press them that we had this meeting today as to the exact dates that we're looking at. And I can tell you that Sophie Vallat, the head of the security division in UL, the project manager, has confirmed to me this morning that the UL report will be on our desk on the 30th of August this month. So that ties in with what Robert will tell you about Trade.io and what he's doing to create the exchange so that you can sell your coins as you see fit through that exchange, or you may decide to hold on to them and wait for Zukaz and the goods and services side of it over the next few months. Alternatively, you can actually trade amongst yourselves directly without an exchange or Zukaz, the way the technology is designed. There's no fees and charges. It's instantaneous. And I want to say, before I introduce now the guys, one final thing. You are at the forefront, in fact, as adopters of investing in the coins leaders, and you should be proud of that. Proud because if you look at the Facebook project, now Facebook, as you know, has the resources and billions of dollars at its disposal, has a big database, but in their fine print of the Libra coin project, if you read the fine print, they are saying that they are 5 years away from developing what's called a permissionless state coin capability. And I can tell you that with UL signing off on the 30th, Robert has achieved that now, right now. So if Facebook, with all their support and technology, are 5 years away, and we are there now as of next week, then your patience will be well rewarded, because we have the technology and the protection of the patents that we have to take us to the forefront and lead this coin beyond whatever you can imagine. Now, not only that, Facebook has said they need $1 billion to build that out over the 5 years. Well, we just have Robert. So we just have Robert. Yeah, so for a small company, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I'm not just saying this for the sake of it. I love and enjoy and want to get back with the team. They're excited to revisit the Bahamas and let this loose in the Bahamas, both Zukaz and the Zucoins. And what I'll do now, I'll give you, hand you over to my son Matthew, and I think it's important, for the sake of some time, to listen to what he has to say about what's happened with Zukaz, what's happening with the Biz app and the Zukaz Hunter apps, because it's been incredibly exciting in Albury-Wodonga, and we're looking at our global launches over the next few months. And if you see some of the reports, he's going to show you the excitement we're getting here. Again, it's so important. The more money we make in Zukaz, the more money flows into the coins. That's as simple as that. So if you get excited about Zukaz and the merchants in Bahamas take this on, and people are hunting and collecting, and you're having a great time, then you can imagine how powerful that'll be for the Zucoins. So Matthew, if you might take the seat here, you can see you. And so ladies and gentlemen, this is Matthew, Project Manager for Zukaz.
Hi guys, great to be here. As you all know, we kicked off our Zukaz launch on July 13th of this year, and since then the team's been hard at work onboarding merchants and making sure each merchant is having a lot of success. I thought I'd kick off by showing you some of the statistics, which I'll share my screen now. Can you guys see that? Yeah. That would help. How about now?
Yes.
Yep, perfect. So we've obviously only launching in Albury-Wodonga now and planning at our next launch around Australia. So that's as Allan said, that's what we're working hard on now. You can see from the statistics on within our admin portal that we've got just over 3,500 hunters on, and we've just kicked over on 140 businesses. So and that's just in the Albury-Wodonga region. So we're putting a lot of effort into the merchant success here, making sure that there's vouchers out on the map, making sure that they're really good vouchers for the hunters to go and collect, and then obviously go back in the store and redeem. And the stats there, you can see that there's been 8,004 vouchers dropped in this area, 3,400 collected. And remember, that's no cost to the merchants. So in that scenario there's been, those vouchers have been collected. Those hunters are now aware of that business and know that business exists.
What's the value of that, man?
And that's been no cost to the merchants. The total value of those vouchers dropped is now over $600,000. So there's a lot of money out there on the map, which is providing a lot of incentives for the hunters to go collect and then back in store and redeem those vouchers. We will be planning out over the next few weeks. We've now finalised our launch report, which has all the statistics behind the launch event that we held on July 13th and post that point. So we will be sending that out over the next few weeks, and that'll give you a great idea on where we currently stand, what we're working on, what the teams are working on, and that ties into Peter on my left here on the merchant success and sales. And we will also be sending out an update on what is happening next, what we're planning, and that ties into our launch strategy and where we will be going to next. Tying into introducing Peter on my left here, we will, he's heading up the Zukaz merchant success and sales. Right now, he's working hard on getting those 140 businesses dropping the vouchers. There's a lot of education that's happening because it's such a new model, a new system compared to the traditional methods you see of radio, TV, Facebook, and Google, of merchants putting money up front and then hoping they get a return, but they can't quantify the marketing dollars they're actually spending and putting out. So he's working on educating those new businesses with this new model and allowing them to promote their goods and services at no upfront cost, which is the big key for us. And obviously that ties into our value proposition and what Robert's working on as well with the Zucoins and the money going back into the Zucoins. So I'll hand over to Peter to give you a bit of a rundown on the merchants that we've currently got, what the merchants are doing, what they're doing well, and basically what the team and his team are working on in the Zukaz system.
You might talk about the big companies, Peter, as well. With the big companies, you know.
Yeah. Well, hi everybody. You can't see me, or can you see me? Hang on.
Oh, you got to change the screen over.
You probably don't need to see me.
Back now?
Much better. Oh, we got you.
This is me, I'm the big guy at the back. Look, everything's going really well here. The merchants are picking it up. They love the idea. And probably the big point is they're getting full control over their advertising, how they get out to market, and they can drop them when they like, where they like, and as often as they like. And as Matt just said before, it doesn't cost them a cent until you actually get a customer in the door. And that's what we all, as a merchant, that's what we're all looking for. I always like to use the phrase that we're 10xing our advertising, a minimum of 10xing your advertising. You could spend $1,000 on Facebook and not know what's going on. You could drop $1,000 worth of vouchers out in the marketplace, and the maximum expense you could get is if you've got 100% redemption is $100. So it's really good from an advertising. It's a totally new way of looking at it. Very disruptive technology. We're looking at our major anchors at the moment, like the Woolworths and the McDonald's and all that coming on board. And again, getting that information out to them. I see. You like that one? Yeah. So, and what we've been able to design for those major merchants is actually three-dimensional augmented reality. So you could actually have a hamburger floating in the street. You could actually have the big M's floating in the street. You can do all that sort of stuff with this technology that has been invented. From the Zucoins side of things, we are the investors. Some of you have already seen emails coming from me, just chasing up your latest phone number and all that sort of stuff. Those who haven't had an email lately, there's a number of emails that have either bounced or are old. So if you haven't had any news from Zucoins recently, could you please send us another email to support@zucoins.com so we can get all your stuff updated, and very important to have that preferred mobile number so we can get everything out. So there's probably about still 20 or 30% that we need that information from. But I'm going to put you over to the main man now to talk about the Zucoins.
So, Allan here again, team. Before I now introduce you to Robert, firstly, let me say he is the genius behind what you're seeing, both in terms of where Zukaz will be heading, what your coins are going to be doing. He's very modest. He can talk quicker than I can, so that's a worry. He will talk at a level that, no disrespect to anybody, but neither I or you will understand what he's just said. But it's fair to say he's a wonderful guy, fantastic young fellow, and I just want to plant the seed as to the future of what this technology means beyond what you're going to get excited about the coin. So if you think about Bitcoin and the way you create an electronic form of value, that's what it's about. It's about what you see in a bank account is a movement that the banks are holding the funds, and there's an entry that says the money's moved from A to B, and you wake up in the morning and this bang in your bank account, it tells you you've got some dollars in your account. Now you get a nice warm fuzzy feeling about that because someone's told you you've got some money, or you have cash that's guaranteed by the governments, and you get a nice warm feeling that someone's guaranteeing you that you've got money in your pocket, and then you can go and buy something with that. At the end of the day, the global population, generally, you've got one hand people who save, and the other hand people who want to spend everything they've just saved. So consumerism is the biggest thing on the planet. So if you think of the coin, the technology Robert's created is that you have the power to retain that value that is substantial, it's one-off, and you have the ability to move that value yourself amongst each other, or what Robert will talk about through the exchange and how significant that is, and also through Zukaz or in any other business for that matter that wants to accept the coins for you to buy goods and services at the end of the day, or trade that and see money going into the coin through the value proposition of Zukaz. So that's what doesn't happen with Bitcoin. It's important to understand that doesn't happen with the banking system, and it doesn't happen with Bitcoin. If you want to trade a Bitcoin, you've actually got to go to the network and the miners, if you like, and miners is a glorified word. I don't even know where they come up with the word miners. I mean, this IT industry amazes me. They could have been called bananas for argument's sake, but anyway, they're miners. So all they are is glorified people with a computer, which they don't call them computers, they call them a node, and they're sitting there all day and they receive the transaction and they all get together as a bit of a gang, and there's 9,000 of these people, and they say, well, we'll let that one through and that one will work because the algorithm works, and next thing your transaction's processed. But the difficulty with that is that because I'm spending money and time to validate a transaction, there's a cost. And in an environmental sense, that cost is huge and a huge drain on global electricity and power to create that validation. And that slows the transaction down because not every transaction can go through instantly. And in fact, I think, Robert, you said the other day it was less than 2.6 transactions per second now. 2.8. 2.8. See how meticulous he is? Yeah. So 2.8 transactions per second. That's not going to work globally if you are talking hundreds of millions of people wanting to transact. It will not work. And the other impediment is that if I don't get rewarded as a miner for processing that transaction, the whole thing can shut down. And there's a limited number of coins in Bitcoin available to miners for doing that job. And when that stops, you could end up with having a lot of money in Bitcoin and not actually be able to transact. That's the reality of what could happen with Bitcoin. Now, it's no good having $10 million in Bitcoin and you're carrying it around in your wallet or your USB or on your hard drive, and you're looking at people and saying, what do I do with it? You know, how do I process that transaction? It just won't work. What Robert's technology in a world first is it breaks down the transaction, puts the transaction value into your control, but allows you on the network without anybody else to conduct that transaction with each other or with a business or with an exchange. That's the beauty of Zucoins. That's what's taken a long time for UL to get their head around it and realise this is all new and fresh. Now, I keep pushing that, and Robert tells me all the time that creating that system is the most difficult part of the whole Zucoin concept. That is creating the value, fragmenting it, and allowing that transaction to happen without any third party. What Robert has put to all of us in the future, now this is where Zukaz takes it to another level. If you think of, as I said, Zukaz, at the moment there's only two revenue streams that we're targeting. One is 10% of money we get from redemption of vouchers, and two is 25% we get from the trading of vouchers. And as I said earlier, when that's pulled together, 20% comes out into the coins. What I haven't told you is that Robert's technology is far beyond just the humble Zucoin technology. What it means is, for the first time, as far as we know, you can take any form of data and put it into that wallet technology, and that includes photos, videos, collectible items, augmented reality figures. It could be horses. It can be virtual real estate. Okay? Now, it means that, let's think about Facebook. We all get on Facebook, we throw some pictures into Facebook, we put some videos up, and guess what? Mark Zuckerberg has all of our data, the whole lot, and he decides what he does with it. He decides he's going to give it to someone else to pay him the money for ads on what you do with Facebook. He knows your history, your tracking, everything you do, he makes money on your data, my data. What Robert's achieving is that you retain your own data. Not even Zukaz will have your data. It is retained by you, the person, and you decide what you do with that data. Now, that's a huge, incredible shift from the internet as we know it. You think about all the big companies. Google takes all your data. Instagram takes all your data. Pinterest takes all your data. And for what? All you want to do is show your family a picture of your family members or things that are happening in your day-to-day life. And by the way, everybody, I'm pleased to say that my firstborn daughter, Natalie, she turns 29 on the 30th of August, the day we get the UL contract. And we've just had our first grandchild, and he's an absolute little ripper. And his name is Hunter. So there you go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So he's a little beauty. And if you think about that data, I don't want the privacy unless I want people to see my family. I don't want people to make money on my photos or my background. And the technology that Robert has leads us to a future that says that in Zukaz, you can literally then have and build out what can be called the Zukaz Chat, and it's everything we see. It's the communication we're doing now. So instead of Skype having the data that we're going through, you'll be able to go peer-to-peer with that chat format, whether it's a video or anything you can imagine, but no ads. Now that's something that gives you the privacy and stops the hacking issues that happen with data, including the hacking of what's happening in the world with coins. So that's the background, and I have mentioned before the excitement. Robert's coming on full time to our team. We talk about the virtual real estate. I might just touch on that because that's another layer of income that then feeds into the coins. And you might have trouble working out how virtual real estate works, but basically, if you think of, let's say, downtown NASA, anybody in the room there could say, look, I want to own the virtual geomapping area within NASA. Now, you own the virtual property. Robert can guarantee that's a one-off, can't be replicated coordinates, if you like. As you own that virtual real estate, if everybody rushed out the room and we had thousands of people down in downtown NASA hunting and collecting, and merchants are enjoying themselves with dropping $10 and $20 and $100 and you're trading, because we know that people are in that particular area, we can pay the owner of the virtual real estate a royalty. And that royalty makes money. And of course, if your value of your virtual real estate, just like a real building or a real block of land, goes up and you sell it, then of course we're going to take a commission on the profit, which then goes into the coins. So I don't want to confuse you too much with it all, but it means that we can actually open the world, that you can be sitting in NASA at the Hilton right now, and you could actually be the proud owner of some part of Central Park, New York, and you are sitting there on your phone getting all these statistics and making money from people that are hunting and collecting in New York, and you've never visited New York in your life. Or you can come down to Albury-Wodonga and you own our botanical gardens, and suddenly you're making money on people as they move around the planet and capture that royalty. And it's not just about physical real estate we talk about. What Peter and his team are doing over the next few weeks is that we'll be releasing the test for the big merchants that are in an online business. Because if you think about, let's say I'm selling some clothing from Albury-Wodonga, I could actually drop the voucher to you guys in the Hilton, and it might be for $100 for some shirts. You've collected the voucher in NASA, and you go online and you redeem the voucher online for e-commerce, and next thing in the mail rocks up and arrives your shirt from Australia. So it's not just bricks and mortar advertising, it's e-commerce and online businesses. And that is explosive, because anywhere in the world, businesses can now communicate directly to other people in the world for that redemption and that voucher. And again, I keep saying it, the more money we make there, the more flows into the coins. So you may not even actually want to sell your coins because you've got this money coming in all the time. But if you do sell, fantastic news. All I'm saying, we're getting current sales at $15 Aussie or $10 US. The way the system's designed for Trade.io, we don't expect them to be any less than $20 US when they launch. And from there, you can ride the thing all the way, because what we're doing, we see us taken on Bitcoin for all the reasons we've just said. I don't know why Bitcoin's at 10,000. I don't really care, but there's no reason we can't chase that up to where Bitcoin is. We have far more firepower of what you can do with the Zucoin for what I've just described. So, having said all that, this is the man himself. We look after this bloke. We look after him. So this is Novak.
Hello everyone, nice to meet you all. As Allan mentioned, I have a habit of talking pretty fast, so if there's something you can't, if I've just blurted it out, just let me know and I'll go over it again. The main thing with the Zucoin system, Allan hasn't actually mentioned this, but this is actually the third version of the system we've already built before even launching it. So we've had a look at all the existing cryptocurrencies. We actually started with ERC20 to see, like, way back over a year ago. And from day one, we saw it wasn't going to meet the criteria we needed. It was just way too slow. It's way too complicated. It's very, very hard to make changes to the system quickly. And one of the problems was it's all based on custom infrastructure. You kind of have to have a developer who's already involved in that system. So One of our criteria was to make it as easy to adapt to current systems as possible. So Zucoin is currently based on existing web technologies. So it's already, like we joke in the office, you could actually make a WordPress plugin for this thing. You can integrate it with all kinds of systems already. And the main speed improvement with Zucoin is that it is a one-way transaction. You don't need multiple parties to verify everything all at once. What that means is transactions happen so fast, you can actually verify what happens on a network when you're receiving the coin. You don't have to wait, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours for something to go through. And that also gives us a future potential to basically build out a search engine. We can basically search on the network really quickly using that sort of approach. Zucoin is based on JavaScript. A big piece of it is basically based on JavaScript. And that means we have a really easy way to integrate it into lots of systems, websites, hybrid mobile apps. We can basically make it very easy to integrate into lots of systems very quickly. Our big focus was to make this as easy to integrate into third-party systems as Stripe is. Right now, our system only takes about 3 sections of code, less than half a page of code to integrate into any kind of app. It's really simple to work with. One of the easiest pieces as well, every single peer verifies other pieces of data on the network. So you end up with a massive distributed system. You don't have a kind of a big pool of miners that everything has to compete through. The way Zucoin works differently is that it is the most common answer that is the most correct. So you think about like news, for example, it's the same sort of principle. The most common news tends to be what is the most truthful currently. So the way the system has to be overturned if you wanted to reverse the truth is you have to basically go through every single peer's wallet and upturn the truth for a majority. And that's really hard to do. The more users on the network, the harder that is to achieve. Every single peer, as I mentioned, kind of has to have their data change with other peers' data. So the more users there are on a network, the more people are cross-verifying everything, and the harder it's to upturn. You don't end up with a situation with current cryptocurrencies where you have a fewer and fewer number of miners because it gets more and more harder to do. So right now, you have this problem with current cryptocurrencies where there's a fewer and fewer number of companies handling the transactions. So it's kind of becoming centralized by default. Our system is the opposite. The more people that use it, the more number of third parties, other peers you basically have verifying the currency. So you end up with a more secure system spread across more and more peers. And as Allan mentioned, the wallets are really, it's a silly term for wallets. Wallets are just a way to store data. But one of the things we've built into our wallets is you can store all kinds of other metadata, not just coins. Coins is just the hardest combination to get right. If we can make this work, we can make all kinds of other things work. You can basically, as Allan mentioned, store details about property, about ownership of any kind of piece of data, not just coins. You can actually attach coins to all kinds of real-world properties. So you can prove ownership of a vehicle, of horses, animals, property, all kinds of things. Zucoin is really a decentralized system of ownership. You can prove ownership. That's what the whole point of this thing is. So we have lots of plans for this beyond the coins long term, but the coins will be the core unit of identification for everything. And that also lets us integrate this with owning your own personal data. So a coin could basically be used to back every piece of data that you own, that you want to own. So that's huge importance in terms of who owns coins. And yeah, as I mentioned, the data of the coins, it's inside your own wallet, and every peer keeps their own wallet. Every person keeps their own wallet data. It doesn't get back to some central network somewhere along the path. So it is the most distributed system we can think of how to build this thing. Every person owns their own data, basically. With regards to our auditing process with UL, we're working with UL because they are one of the biggest companies doing this. They deal with governments and enterprises pretty much every day. They've been around, as Allan mentioned, for over 100 years, and we are finishing up the auditing on that. They've grilled us. They've gone through all kinds of technical details. The system is very simple deep down, and that's how it has to be. The most secure systems are the most simple systems. Every second day, as you've probably read in the news, there's an issue with Ethereum or Bitcoin. People find all kinds of flaws constantly. Our system is only a few thousand lines of code. It is really simple, incredibly simple. And as I mentioned, it's web-based. So it's designed for integration into third-party web systems. Anything that runs PHP can run this system. Anything that runs JavaScript can run this system. We're focusing on making this easy for developers to integrate. We want to make this, as I mentioned, as easy as Stripe to integrate. So UL audit is going well, as Allan mentioned. UL should complete their audit at the end of the month. That's what they've given us the timeline. We've answered all the questions, all of the audit reviews that they've asked for. They haven't found any major problems so far, which is good. The second part to our integration at launch will be Trade.io, which is our exclusive partnership with an exchange. The whole point of this is one of the hardest pieces of current cryptocurrencies is how to change your value from one fiat currency to another currency. That's one of the most annoying pieces. You have to basically create a wallet with another exchange, and then you have to move your data to that wallet, and then you basically have to trade for that way. It's very, very annoying. It's very time consuming. Almost no one bothers with it for that reason. One of the focuses we're having is inside of the Zucoin app, you'll be able to trade currencies through another currency, basically. You won't have to go to any other website, any other platform. You won't have to move a wallet somewhere. The whole focus of our launch with Zucoin is to make this as simple as possible. We really want to just make this easy from every point of view, to how you own the data, to what you can do with the data, to how to get the data in and out of the system. That's been our main focus, and so far it's going well. Trade.io sent us a bunch of documentation. We can kind of adapt our system to kind of meet their exchange, how it works. And yeah, this will actually put us in good stead for integrating with other third-party systems after this. So it's really a good proof of concept as well. Yeah, and the integration so far is going well. We haven't had any hiccups. Yeah, we're just going to keep building out this system over the next few weeks to kind of have Trade.io inside the app itself. So you'll have an exchange to trade Zucoins in and out of the system, built straight in from launch.
And Robert, so for everybody to know that what he's building with Trade.io is this API, the connection that brings the two together. That particular connection can be then replicated and used, and in fact will be used to connect it to the Zukaz app as well. So it allows anybody using this connection, if you like, not just Trade.io, to be party to accepting and receiving the coins in a very simple form. So you do the hard work up front. You know, Trade.io have been fantastic because that allows everybody in the room to quickly establish their accounts and, as Robert said, allow you to actively sell if you wish to sell on the exchange and make some money, or alternatively, you just sit tight and wait to see what happens with the income coming in. So you've got that flexibility. You are, in my mind, everybody in that room and those that couldn't make it are the geniuses because you've come in early, and you'll find that as the bigger players that we're talking to start to get comfortable with the UL sign-off, that they'll come in and it's no, you know, they're not interested in speculating what you've done early. They'll be looking at $20, $30, $50, $100. That's when the players come into the bigger side of the coins. Robert's deliberately built the coin with a greater decimal fractions that allows it, even in our mind, if we were trading at $10,000 a coin or $50,000 a coin, the fractions allow you to still use a small fraction of your Zucoin to buy a cup of coffee. So we're not taking this away from the mainstream businesses. We want merchants to put up a shingle, and next to the MasterCard Visa it says there's a big sign, we accept Zucoin. Why? Because there's no fees and charges to the merchant, there's no reversal risks, there's no issues with that transaction flow, and they'll sell you whatever goods they want for the coins. So to incentivize the coins, we've got a very big marketing program within Zukaz as well. The more the merchants drop vouchers, the more rewards they're going to get with coins, and the more that the hunters around the world collect vouchers and redeem them, we're in a position to offer some coins as rewards for that as well. So there is a real connect, and I think importantly, the point that Robert made about that connection with Trade.io, it'll be the only exchange exclusively in the world that actually doesn't take your coins in order to sell them. Now that's important because if you think of data, when you have big companies collecting bulk amounts of data, they become the targets for the hackers. You know, Facebook gets hacked, you know, Instagram gets hacked. The big corporations are getting hacked because they collect hundreds of millions of people's data and they are a soft target for the big hackers.
Yeah.
The technology here means that Trade.io doesn't have any data to do with your coin at all. It reads the files and says, yes, you've got some coins. We've got the money from a person that wants to buy. They take the money from the buyer. You transact the coin sale and you get paid. So it's the same with the data that Robert talks about in the wallet. It's very hard for hackers to hack 1 billion people individually than it is with 1 billion people sitting in Facebook. That's the difference. And that's why Zucoins and the wallet is so significant for the big traders.
Yeah, that's what Alan's saying, that the exchanges don't actually hold the wallets. You don't have to create a wallet with an exchange, which is how most exchanges work right now. And that obviously just basically means if you can hack into an exchange, you get everybody's wallet data. People have come up with all kinds of crazy solutions in terms of cold storage and having lockboxes to keep people's wallets, master keys safe and stuff like that. But with our approach, we've taken a completely different look at this, which is have the exchanges not have to hold your wallet. Basically, the transaction happens peer-to-peer, so you send something to somebody else, and all an exchange has to do is prove the receipt for that transaction went through. So it's very, very simple. Trade.io and their regulation team has never seen anything like this. It's a completely different approach to integrating with exchanges. And so far, we haven't had any hiccups with this approach. It's working very, very smoothly. And just to reinforce that, everybody, the exchanges we've spoken to range from $500,000 US to $2.5 million US as a collateral guarantee from the person that wishes to list their coins. Now, that's because they have the security risks of losing those coins, your coins, as a result of the exchange. Now, in our case, the technology team at Trade.io, could not believe what we've just said, and this is happening. But on the back of that, we're so convinced that we only had to put up 120,000 Aussie dollars, of which we're getting $80,000 back once the first testing goes through. That's mainly just to pay for their developers to integrate it.
That's right. So that 40,000 is a cost to integrate this new technology. But the bottom line is these are people that are used to this industry, that have the gurus that have come to us and said, wow, we don't take any risks. We are delighted to be the global exchange for you to trade. And you may get in the crypto world, they tend to throw a lot of confusion with private keys and public keys, and there's 18 length long codes and passwords. I can assure you, when you get your wallet, it'll be as easy as press a send button and acknowledgement. You'll have your transaction history. You'll see the receipt of the coins and the value in your balances. It's as easy as looking in a bank account with a login access. That's what Robert's dumbed down for all of us, mainly for me. I'm getting too old to remember all these passwords and codes, guys, but that's the exciting bit. So I think we've probably given, maybe hopefully not overloaded you with too much. We just want to make sure that you, we appreciate your support. We can't thank you enough for being early adopters, to see what's going to evolve with Zukaz and Zucoins. Keep the 30th of August in your minds. That's the day, not just that you can send any wishes to my daughter for her birthday, but UL will come in as well. And importantly, it allows Robert to finalise the integration with Trade.io so that in September you can go hell for leather. And the best thing that we can see happen is that you make a heap of money and you tell everybody about it. And we want 1 billion people looking at Zucoins for merchants, for consumers, and change the way we're all thinking about crypto. Put that credibility back into it, take away the speculation, but still the excitement that can come with that retention of that coin. And you can be proud that you're effectively founders of what this guy has done. He'll be on the Forbes magazines. I'll be able to retire nicely, but certainly you've got a young team of people, everybody. They're all generally under 30, and it's exciting stuff, and you'll get blown away when you see things floating in the street of NASA, three-dimensional forms that you go out and capture, your family and your friends go out at night and looking for things, and the children love it. They've got collectibles that we can do. It's so exciting. You'll be really buzzing. And if there's anything that anybody wants to ask any of us some questions, Parrish or Wayne, now, more than happy to pick the person you want to talk to.
Hey, how you guys doing? Can you hear me? Can you hear me out?
Is that you, Wayne?
This is Parrish.
Oh, Parrish.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. Appreciate you guys coming here.
You see it?
Oh. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
The mic is okay, so the mic. That's the difference.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Can you hear me clearly?
Hey, Parrish, who's that good-looking bloke?
That's Endresz. You remember that guy?
Hey, there he is.
How you doing? We appreciate you guys informing our people and letting them know these Zucoin holders about what is happening. And we're very excited about what's going to happen in the very near future. We appreciate all the technology that's being placed into Zucoins and the fact that we are on a revolutionary tip of turning things over in the Bahamas and making some people very, very rich. Myself and Wayne appreciate you guys a lot for what you have done for us. And we know that some people that might have some questions that we would probably want to answer for them. So if there's people in the room right now who have questions, you can come up and ask Allan a question about what's going on. Misha. Usually, ask Allan a question. Ask some questions. This is Yufi Miller, one of the ladies who invested heavily in the Zucoin. She's very excited about what's going on. So I'm going to put her forward to take a few questions for you.
Okay, one of my questions was in terms of the virtual real estate, because that really piqued my interest. How soon will that be available?
Look, that's going to be developed over the next 6 to 12 months. That's completely in Robert's hands, but I'm sure you'll say it won't take much.
It's much easier to roll that out than the coins. The coins are the hardest combination to get right. So any other use case we can have for this technology, including cloud storage of data, user authentication, digital real estate, all that sort of stuff is actually, it just runs off our metadata system on our split chain. So that's basically an easier thing to build out than what we've done with coins. Yeah.
So that is a priority. Sorry.
So you said about 4 to 12 months we'd be looking at something like that.
Yes, the virtual real estate is a priority in our business model. We've had incredible interest, and the only thing, aside from rolling it out, that Robert can tell you it's easy from his end, the only thing we want to make sure is that the Zukaz business is 100% spot on, because it's not that Robert can't introduce the real estate quickly, it's just that the revenue on the real estate relies on a perfect Zukaz model around the world. So it's more timed to the Zukaz team to make sure that it's working perfectly with merchants and consumers globally, because then at that point we can then split the revenue directly as the royalty to anybody that owns that real estate. So if the Zukaz team tells us in management they are absolutely happy with the way the app works, the interface, the map's not too congested globally, that the filters are working perfect, everything we're doing, then it could very well be that this side of Christmas we will be releasing the ability for people to end up owning virtual real estate. Now, the model I have in mind for the virtual real estate is that the early adopters, both in terms of Zukaz merchants and hunters, more importantly, the Zucoin holders will literally be given access to taking up that real estate at very nominal sum of money. I'm not interested in making a lot of money up front from the sale of the real estate. I'm more interested in rewarding those people that have been with us. And I've got about 1,000 people globally that have supported me. They will be the first people with the opportunity to take up real estate for a nominal sum, because the more money they make and the more royalties that they get, then of course when they go to sell that real estate, we will take a fee on the profits that are made. That's the sort of program we're looking to do.
Also, in terms of transactions, in comparison to Visa and MasterCard, because you mentioned, we'll say we'll accept Visa, MasterCard, and Zukaz. So the speed of transactions of Zukaz will be the same as Visa and MasterCard?
Well, I'm going to let Robert tell you that that's not correct. And Robert, you may as well try and put a figure on it, because you say instant, you better put some sort of, you and I know MasterCard around about 3,000 transactions per second. What's the equivalent going to be?
Well, it's as Allan mentioned, it's a hard number to put down, because basically the more peers that use the network, the more transactions are possible. So it scales with the number of people using the network. So I'll give you an example. Each transaction only takes a few seconds to go through per peer. So basically, the more peers that go through, that number stays pretty much constant. So yeah, it's not really a fixed number. It's a very different type of system, because you have a limit on the number of transactions that go through when you have a central point everything has to go through. If you don't have a central point, there's no central number that everything has to go by. So it's a different sort of approach on how a system works. But every transaction only takes a few seconds to go through.
I think the modelling to answer the question is that, the top transactional volumes, even with Ripple and what we've seen with MasterCard, Visa, if we were to give them any credibility that they could do 10,000 transactions per second, it's fair to say that we have a factor of 10 or 20 times minimum greater than that transactional flow because of what Robert's built. So if you're talking 10,000, which they don't do, but let's say that's the case, then we're in the hundreds of thousands of transactions per second, the way the fragmentation and the data transacts.
And also, I've seen Bitcoin. Was it cash machine that we saw? I saw actually one of them locally, Bitcoin cash machine. So Zukaz cash machines will be available as well, or basically it'll be able to go through the same ATM type systems that MasterCard and Visa go through, or you're going to have a separate system?
Well, my vision is that the problem with an ATM machine is the inherent cost of deploying and buying the machine, and also the integration, if you like, the network that needs to connect to the ATM machines. That's a very antiquated method of simply getting somebody to return some money to you for transacting, if you think about it. What we've got in mind is that because the merchants can integrate directly at no cost with accepting Zucoins, there's no reason that they become the ATMs directly. You don't need a machine to distribute the cash on the redemption of the coins. So what we're deploying here in Australia is to test that out with a company called GiftPay, that they already have outlets around the country, like Australia Post, the outlets with Woolworths and Coles and things, that you can actually use those outlets as a means of getting cash in return for your transaction of your coin. It's a far more global, productive way than spending, anything from $12,500 to $30,000 US buying an ATM machine to deliver the same outcome.
Yeah, each
machine. So we've thought about it, and we believe that the UL certification. That's why the credibility is important, that you can go into any store or any shop or any business or any hotel and know that you can transact with your coin either to get goods or the money back you wish. We hope that you actually don't want to have real currency long term, because you'll have the ability to buy whatever you like with the Zucoins and transactions amongst yourself. But that's the solution.
All right. Thanks, Alan. Anybody else got any more questions? Well, I had a friend that somebody was saying. Okay, one more. Come over here. Come on.
In the major. You may have mentioned it before, but do you have a projected date for when we can see something like our wallets, or maybe a personalized dashboard where we can go and see what's going on with our accounts? Will there be debit cards available so that we can make transactions or redeem for cash?
I'll let Robert talk about the release date of the wallets, which ties in with UL and Trade.O. So my expectation is in September. But just on the debit card, before he talks about that, we are not going down the road of needing or requiring connection to MasterCard or Visa whatsoever, because you're just defeating the purpose of what the currency is all about. The moment you hook up with a debit card, and I've been down the payment industry for many years, you're back right where you started. You've got fees and charges, you've got costs, and you've got risks. You do not need a debit card to conduct the business using Zucoins. That's very important. It's an independent method in a whole new way of thinking. If you think about a debit card, you go and use your debit card for two things, or three actually. The first, you go to an ATM machine to get cash. The second, you go into a shop in order to buy goods, to transact your money with that shop to buy those goods using a card. And the third, you go online, you buy goods online. Now, in each of those instances, the only winners are the banks and the MasterCard Visas taking fees from the merchants and fees from the consumer. With Zucoin, you get the same outcome, all three instances, as what I've just described, without a single fee paid to anybody. And instant transaction with instant validation and no reversal. There is no risks in terms of the transaction. So there is no need to connect with the old world as we know it for that reason.
Alan mentioned there's two pieces we're doing to kind of bridge that gap in the short term. One will be to connect with an exchange. As we mentioned, we're working with Trade.io. That will give you a chance to kind of very quickly bring the Zucoins in the system and out of the system into something else, a different form of currency. And the other thing we're working on is pretty much make it as easy as possible to integrate systems into old systems that already exist. So we're trying to hit this with two approaches, short term and a long term. And I think both will be quite useful to expand that system.
So on that basis, Robert, it's fair to say that our objective is that UL's on the 30th of August. We're into 2 weeks, so mid-September with Trade.io.
Yep.
And the release of your coins into the wallets will happen at the same time. And that's why we are now at a point we do need to make sure we have accurate information on every single coin holder with your phone numbers, because once the coin goes out, we cannot reverse it and we cannot give you any coins if they are lost.
It's a peer-to-peer system, which means you have to be very careful. You have to there's no bank you can go to reverse a transaction. So it's completely in the power of the people that use it. You have to be very much make sure you've got your details up to date.
So Peter, who you met earlier, it's his job to follow up the emails, to make sure you respond with your phone numbers. We've got to get country codes right, all that sort of stuff, because we'll send out tests before the coins are released, and by that mid-September, as coins go out, that's the end of it, because you've got your coins and you're in the wallet, and we can assist with the way you secure the wallet. We've got some very good ideas there for people. More importantly, you'll see the balances of the coins in the wallet, you'll see the transactions, and you can even start to transact coins amongst yourselves. Hopefully, if you send it to somebody, they might send it back to you. If they don't, they'll keep it. So it's very powerful, but it's going to be an exciting, incredible journey for everybody to see this actually happening. That's the timeline.
Yeah, to bring clarity to the last question that the lady asked, when persons were to put their funds or coins on Trade.io in order to redeem their coins if they want to sell it, would it then be between Trade.io and the client as to where the monies are sent to their account, either by bank wire or any other means?
Yeah, so if you set up, which they're available to set up, we'll give you the information on this, Parrish, for them to set up the accounts with Trade.io. They have their own AML compliance that you go through, which is not hard. At that point, if the coins are sold, they'll be able to send the proceeds on any sales directly to wherever the client wishes. So that's not a problem. You'll be able to watch the trading. You'll have a live feed on what the values are. The reason we're comfortable with $20 Robert's building into that from the Zucoin point of view, that the minimum trading floor at any time, either buy or sell, is $20. So we're expecting some very, very exciting action with bigger players. I should point out too, Parrish, we have signed a contract recently with a new advisor that's been appointed to Zucoins. It's a gentleman called Sam Volkering. You may not have heard of him, but look him up. It's Volkering. We'll send you a link. He has hundreds of thousands of subscribers to his daily news reports on the best coins in the world. And he is working with Robert and has been convinced after 8 months that this is the next best thing beyond coin promote. So we have a very strong promotional side. You may have seen in our launch that we had Red Foo, the singer. He is also an IT tech buff, and he has got a massive following in the millions that he'll be working with us as advisors around America to let loose about the power of Zucoins as well. So we have some exciting strategies in place to let everybody know about Zucoins, and the market will be the test, through Trade.io. But again, Trade.io is only the bigger institutions will come in, and which will put price pressure. But Zukaz integration will be far more interactive between merchants and consumers on the use of Zucoins. So you'll have the two capabilities.
Allan, Sam Volkering, is he the gentleman that actually wrote the book on cryptocurrency? He has an editorial that comes out of the UK. Is that the same gentleman?
Yeah, that's Sam. That's correct. So he produces reports, and he has he's written a number of books. If you look at his latest book, he talks about the problems of Bitcoin. He's a very big Bitcoin fan, but he's worried about the problems that could lead to the demise of Bitcoin in the long term. Right. And he sees Zucoin as the next 2.0 solution to all the things that Bitcoin can't solve. Bitcoin, no matter how many times they fork it or try and create Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin Gold, they still have got the problem of the way in which the structure and the software that's created Bitcoin is causing problems. We don't have that problem, Wayne.
Very good. Allan, I just want to ask a question, and if anybody else has any other question, they can pose to the floor that you would like to ask. This is the team now. They're here. They're live. If everybody have gotten or they had some questions in their mind, this is the time to ask the question. Yes, could you come to the mic, please?
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, my question is, say, God forbid, if I was to die today or tomorrow, and I have invested the Zucoins, what would happen to them? Can I put them in a will, or what would eventually happen to them?
Yes, on the legal side, that's correct. If you treat the Zucoin as an asset with a unique identifier, then most certainly, as long as you protect the Zucoin through the wallet or through backing it up, and Robert and his team will share with everybody the best way to do that, because it's very valuable, of course. But yes, you can bequeath that to someone else in your will. I don't know the laws in the Bahamas strong enough, but in Australia, we even have, with the certification from UL, we even have Australian superannuation funds that can now buy cryptocurrency as part of their super portfolios as well. And under Australian tax law, it's taxed what we call a capital gains tax. So if you hold the coins longer than 12 months, there's a very minimal amount of tax to be paid on the sale. That's an opportunity that we have in Australia. The other thing is, if you use the coin and the value goes up, let's say Zucoin went up to $5,000 a coin, and you're worth a lot of money. In Australia, if you trade that coin directly for goods, that is, you go and buy a house with the coins, then there is no imposition of tax either at that point. So that's Australian law, but certainly we can look at a bit more deeper with our lawyers in New York as to what the effects are in different countries. But it is an asset, and it can be in a trust, it can be placed into a company, it can be bought by a super fund. That's correct.
Thank you.
Allan, it's really a pleasure to really have the team and all the Zucoin holders who are here. One of the questions, I know we did a lot of giveaways in Australia. When we go live globally and in the Bahamas, you'll be able to have that same port to be able to offer to the early adopters here for them to be able to hunt, collect, trade, and redeem. I don't know if you saw any of our shirts, but anybody who have their shirts, hold up your shirts so you can see. Everybody there got their shirts, Zukaz? Okay. Put it in front of the camera.
Go from here. No, there. There. Yeah, it's there. I can see it. No.
See it?
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. That's it. We'll have everybody in Bahamas wearing that team.
Right there. I can see it. Yeah.
Zukaz.
So Allan, we are excited about it. We just want, I know you did the giveaway to Disney World, 10,000 K for the property, and we gave away a car. And I know that kind of incentive, I know some of our early adopters would like that same kind of incentive here in the Bahamas.
Yeah. The Bahamas would like something like that.
Yes, yeah, well, the team here, I can assure you, it's at the top of their priority for our entire team to get over to NASA and to share that experience and seeing everybody, the type of things we can do and the excitement. We would definitely be doing that. So Bahamas is at the top for me, let me tell you.
I hope so.
Does anybody else have any questions before we close out on the team? Yes, question.
is that I bought some coins, say about 2,000 coins, and I walk in the store who has coin compatibility. I want to buy a can of soda. How's that work? Is it possible like that?
You just broke a bit there, sorry.
If I bought some coins, and say the coin went for $5,000, and I want to buy a cup of coffee, how's that way? Like the currency compatibility difference? Or something, what he's saying, Allan, is that he was to purchase some Zucoins and he went to Starbucks to get some coffee or something. How would he go and purchase that with his Zucoins?
To purchase Zucoins?
Yes, he's a holder of Zucoins and he would like to purchase some coffee. What is his transaction when he goes to a coffee shop and gets some coffee?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the technology that Robert talked earlier, we are making it very simple for a merchant to allow, if they have a wallet, let's say your local coffee shop has a wallet, he can receive the coins in his store directly from you, and he can exchange. There'll be a rate that'll show you what the value of the coin is live, and that'll be mainly coming through Trade.io. And at that point in time, it'll calculate out that the coffee is $5 and it'll convert to a fraction immediately of what you then send him a fraction for that coin. So yes, you can. It's very simple technology for the merchant to accept the coins from you with a rate conversion. There's no fees and charges, by the way. It's just the live rate of what the value is at that point in time. So that's the difference and allows you to buy that cup of coffee. So anybody in the world, whether you're a consumer or a merchant, will be able to accept the coins to sell and buy and sell trade for goods and services.
Good night. My question is, the wallet would be in your phone or your smart device. How will the transaction occur? Is it by a QR code or PIN system? How does it work?
No, the wallet that you're receiving, anybody can download the free wallet, allows them to identify the other party they're sending the value to. So do you want to talk about that, Rob?
Yeah, it's kind of like a receipt. Like as we mentioned a little bit earlier, it kind of works as a one-way transaction. So you send something to someone, and then you basically check on the network if it's gone through. So it's very, very simple. And that works Zucoin to Zucoin. If you want to go to another currency like US dollars or the euro or something like that, you basically just run through Trade.io system to run that transaction, and that'll be inside the app. So you won't have to go anywhere else other than the app itself to do that sort of transaction. So both kinds of transactions, Zucoin to Zucoin and Zucoin to any other type of fiat currency, will happen inside the app.
So that's why if you look at your contacts. So what Robert's saying is, if you look at why it's important that we want your phone numbers, we are identifying and creating identifiers to connect with the phone number, so that when you want to send money or coins to somebody, it's just like you put up your list of contacts in your phone and you will send it to that phone number with an identifier in the wallet. It's as simple as what you do normally with, say, WhatsApp or Messenger. You have your list of contacts and it allows you to send it to anybody at the other end or a new contact. So they download the wallet, and as Robert said, it'll automatically send it to whatever you want, the amount, and it'll receipt it that allows you to confirm that the party has received it, the same with the receiver. It's very simple. It's not a complicated way that we see with crypto currently. So it's literally a send button with the amount, and you send it to the identifier, which can search, or the phone number. Very simple, Parrish.
Okay. Okay. Can you list some of the merchants that you have on board right now and the number?
Sorry, Parrish, a bit hard to hear that then.
Are they frozen?
Yeah. Can you list some of the persons that are on board right now, businesses that are on board, merchants?
Can we put on board merchants? Yes, once we finish the Albury project, which is still some weeks to go, then yes, we will release globally to onboard merchants, which will be very simple. And once they're onboarded with Zukaz, it's very simple for them to be told to download the wallet to accept the coins. So it's a very, the onboarding of merchants is very simple, Parrish. You'll be surprised when you see the app, the Biz app.
Yeah, but what they're asking specifically on is the merchants right now that are involved in the process. What are some of the names of those companies that are involved right now that you guys are working with?
Yeah, the merchants right now are accepting Zukaz, but not the Zucoins until we release the wallet. But they will be able to.
Okay.
Like Coffee Mama is one of the places that accepts it right now.
The coffee shop in Albury, did you say?
Yes, Coffee Mama. That's one of them.
Oh yeah, Coffee Mama is a very exciting small client. To give you an example, the owner of that business is a gentleman called Matt Sheridan, a very strong supporter and coin holder. And what he dropped was on one weekend, so over 2 days, 175 vouchers. Each voucher was worth $5 Aussie. So there's no cost to him up front on those vouchers that were dropped. Now, the vouchers, when we talk about a voucher, you have to see it to believe it, but it's like a three-dimensional form that can come in and excuse me, the voucher contains all of the information of the business, links to website, products, it can have videos on it, whatever you like. And of that 175 that were dropped, 167 were collected within a 50-kilometre radius. And of that 167, 70 were redeemed back to the coffee shop. That's the $5 value. And of that 70, there was a 400% increase in spend in that shop. There were then 20 vouchers that were traded for $2 as a result of the trading. So it's a very solid statistics was that coffee shop.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions that anybody else has? No? One more question, the last question for you.
Hi.
Yeah, you're right.
My concern is, well, I heard you said that, okay, my question is, okay, I know you said that it's just, you wouldn't be able to reverse it, that's my understanding, transactions, that once I send a transaction out to merchant, you wouldn't be, but my concern is the safety do happen. That's the reality of life. So if I just miss and press an extra zero, and I'm supposed to pay $75, I miss and press 50, or I don't know how, you know, the whole thing's gonna work. I guess, what is available to make that reversal, even though there's not technically a reversal, I guess, module in how would I correct that?
Yeah, so in a practical sense, let's say I'm buying a pair of shoes for $50, and I've transacted the value of that in Zucoins. Let's say, for argument's sake, it's one Zucoin. The moment I transacted that payment of one Zucoin to the merchant, it can't be reversed as a transaction from the coin, but you can have, which we do in Australia, consumer laws to protect the customer on the receipt of the shoes. So in other words, if the shoes weren't to your satisfaction, well, they weren't what you wanted, then it's up to the merchant to either send back you the one Zucoin or the cash equivalent for the goods that you just bought. So consumer laws play a big role in the day-to-day lives of the transaction.
And the other thing we have, I should mention, the way you transact things, it shows you a bit of information about who you're transacting it to. So you have a second chance to get to confirm that where you're sending the money and who you're sending it to is actually right. So that actually makes that process much less likely.
All right. That makes me happy.
Thanks, guys. Any more questions? That's it?
Yeah, you know,
Thank you, everybody. Parrish and Wayne, a personal thanks to you guys. You guys are going to be, you've been incredibly loyal. I can't thank you enough. The wealthier you are, the better it is for me. You get those big boats out there, that front of NASA for me, so we can have our team on them. That'll be fantastic.
That sounds great.
And to everybody in the room, hold your hats, get ready. You're in an incredible space and time, and we cannot wait to see everybody in that room having those same big boats. So thank you, everybody. Love yous all. God bless.